to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, orders of the day. We got a lady here who wants to talk to us about food trucks, right?
Yes. Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Davis and I'm the coordinator of Food Truck Fridays. It's an event that typically takes place on the last Friday of every month in June, July, and August at the fairgrounds, but due to COVID and current restrictions, we're mixing it up a little bit. I've talked with the mayor and Tim and Danny about this event. And Danny invited me to speak here today about our plans because it does kind of involve the village of Lowville. So essentially what we're going to do this summer, and we skipped our June date and we have a September date as a backup. For Food Truck Fridays, instead of attracting 1,000 people to one location at the fairgrounds, we decided to do a village takeover style of event where we are spreading food trucks around the village of Lowville in private parking lots. So I have secured 7 private locations that will house 11 different food vendors, and those locations include the Lewis County Fairgrounds, Tractor Supply, Merrill Law Office, the Lowville American Legion, Judges Quarters Bed and Breakfast, Lowville Farmers Co-op, and Skewbering. So at this point, I just wanted to make you guys aware that on the dates of July 31st, August 28th, and September 18th, there will be food trucks spread out on these private properties throughout the village. And we are doing that to just get everyone spread out. Again, we don't want to attract a bunch of people to one location. If any of you have been to the Food Truck Fridays events at the fairgrounds, there's at least 1,000 people in one small location, so we wanted to avoid that this summer. I obviously have secured all these locations. Danny gave me the advice to make sure that those property owners talk to their insurance companies to make sure that having a food truck on their location is okay. So I've advised all the private locations to do that, and the food trucks will be naming those private businesses as the additional insured on their liability. So when a food truck, when they are involved in the event, they have to sign a contract with us, provide their Department of Health permit, and their liability insurance. So in regard to the Food Truck Fridays and spreading that out, that's what we're doing for that. One thing I did want to ask the village, and I have spoke with Danny about this. I had live music secured for each of the dates, and at this point, I wasn't really sure if we could do live music. I was curious to hear your input if the week of the event, if, depending on the CDC guidelines and how many people we can have in one location, if we could potentially put the live music on the bandstand at Veteran Park, and just say, hey, if you want to go get your food truck from these food trucks or other downtown restaurants, and bring a blanket, bring your family, spread out in the Veterans Park, eat your dinner, and just kind of hang out, stay 6 feet apart, wear a mask while you're walking around, if that was something that the village would be open to.
I'm open to it, but last night there was a baseball game across the road. The social distancing wasn't there.
Right.
So nobody with masks on, and Joe mentioned he saw the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge baseball fan. So I'm all for the music in the park. I think it's a great idea. I'd like to challenge or ask you to figure out how you're going to social distance it so that there's not issues.
Right. And that was one of my biggest concerns. I don't want to advertise that there's music and still attract hundreds of people to one location where they're not social distancing or wearing masks. So
maybe if we don't advertise it and maybe you won't get as many people.
Well, that's what I'm thinking, even though we're live right now. Hopefully not too many people are watching this.
Maybe Brittany, a thought is, we see how things go in July, maybe have the music plan, maybe not to have it in July, but have it in August and September, is a thought too.
We could do that. And honestly, I was thinking like that the day of, you know, put something out on social media. Hey, so-and-so will be playing
You
live.
can put little flags on or something too, those little cheap flags, 6 foot apart or whatever, or 10 foot apart, and make people
Yeah.
try to abide by that, you know?
I mean, they're family members, it's one thing if they're together, but they're not
Right.
family members, they shouldn't be spread
Right.
apart.
So that is a legitimate concern. I think I still am unsure if I will do it, but if I could just continue to work with, you know, you guys, and you guys can kind of advise me once the date comes whether or not that's something we want to do. Okay.
I think it's a good idea, I really do. Maybe, like you said, the day of or
Yeah,
the night before, start advertising or something like that. See what happens with the first food truck thing and how much, you know, participation we get with it. And
right.
Like Dan says, maybe pick maybe the middle of August or something, and whatever your August food truck is, and try and do it then.
I hate to have socialization there and then have something go wrong because we're gonna have a real problem. I guess I'm concerned, yesterday Jefferson County had 8. So between now and the end of July, we may be not even talking about this. I hope I'm wrong.
The 8 is a bunch of kids partying. That's what's going on.
And there's a huge social event this weekend here, who knows what could break out from that I don't believe was run legally, but that's just me.
So I guess in regards to the music, I'll just keep in touch with you guys, and that week we can make the call and figure out how to best implement it.
I'd like to say one last thing about the discussion I had with Brittany. A couple of years ago, I brought up live music in the park and I wanted a budget. And as I was talking to her, I realized, why can't we, if things get better next year, have music in the park, go ahead a week, maybe it's Friday night, and have a band say, hey, we're going to come and let them, I would think they could probably legally pass a hat. Mr. Russell, could they do that? Okay, and tonight it's going to be polka, next week it's going to be soft rock, and next week it's going to be country western, and give everybody a flair. And that would probably help the local restaurants. Maybe you have music at 7 o'clock at night, maybe till 8:39, nothing major. And I've always wanted that to have that. And I realize now, Forge does it, and they have a music budget. If maybe some of you remember, I brought Mr. Farmer down from Old Forge, and he described it. But I would encourage Brittany to maybe look into that. I'm not for that. If we're out of COVID by next year.
Yeah. So just wanted to give you guys an update on what the event will be this summer, and if you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to give me a call.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yep, thank you. Okay, moving on, we have approval of the June 17th regular board meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
All in favor?
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Murphy.
Yep. Need a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of vouchers.
Yes, Mayor. General fund, $125,053.41. The water, $45,265.51. The sewer, $28,926.79. And the capital, $1,080,053.60. All these have been audited. I've signed them off on them, and the mayor substituted for Mr. Murphy. They've all been looked at and audited, and I make the motion that we pay these as audited.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Five Streets reconstruction project.
So to give you guys an update what's going on, Highlander is still working on Trinity Avenue and Park Avenue. They have most utilities in it, seems their water utilities are in, but they're still working on the storm. There's a lot of large diameter storms put in, so it's kind of slow moving to them. I would say within the next 2 or 3 weeks or so, they should be shifting onto Shady Avenue, wrapping up Trinity and Park and shifting onto Shady, which is the last street to be done. We did have pump station startup test yesterday. Went smoothly. There's a couple of small things we need to wrap up with the pump station, and then it should be ready to be put into service. That's all the update I have for that.
Anything on the phase 2 wastewater treatment plant upgrades?
I don't have anything on that now.
Do you think we're still on track for that to go out to December, January?
Yeah, we're gonna look at that, and we are starting to get going on the design of that, so probably have a better update for you next month, but yeah, should be on target.
Village water system, Watson water agreements.
I still haven't heard anything back from Ray Meyer. I emailed him today and didn't get a response, so I'm not sure if the town has reviewed it or not.
When is their meeting in July? That's why.
Yeah, that's why, because their meeting was the day before ours last month.
This month is.
This month is behind, so I guess we'll hear something next month.
Hopefully Ray will have something he can send to you. And
Yeah,
email out to the rest of us.
I'll get an update as soon as I hear from him.
Groundwater development project. Well, development, we did get bids last week. I don't know if you want to talk about that or.
Yeah, we both got some info on it. Looks like, I don't know if you want to read out the numbers for the bids, just so I know.
Yep. Yeah. So we received 2 bids. Received one from the Lane Christensen Company for $234,980. The second bid we received was from Fry Well Drilling Incorporated. That was for an amount of $117,598.40. Upon further inspection of the Fry bid, they did have a couple of errors in their bid that resulted to need to be lowered. And so I do have a notice of award here for you guys. We would award the bid to Fry for $116,098.40.
We also have a letter from Jay Billings, the hydrogeologist, who did some background investigation, and he was able to get a hold of a couple direct contacts, and they had positive things to say about Fry. So I know there was some conversation on why there was such a gap in bids, but I think Lane is basically almost not a nationwide company, but they do a lot of work on like the East Coast.
Well, they're involved with Granite Corporation.
Right, there's just a big corporation, and Fry is a family-owned company, smaller outfit. They're partnering with Aurora. I think we met them at the water plant there. So, I mean, that's really, you do have the discrepancy. They're basically half of what the other is. That's really the only, I wouldn't call it a red flag, but a flag that we got saying what's going on here. But we didn't really find anything where they bid like 1 well versus 2 or anything like that. So,
Right, I think a lot of it had to do with them being close.
Right.
I mean, the mobilization was $35,000 for Lane and $3,500 for Fry. So
Right.
that was a lot. I went through them step by step, and
yeah.
you know,
But I mean,
Superintendent Dinesh, you okay with it?
Yes. Can you get us can we get a copy of that letter from Jay Billings?
yeah, I think I have it here somewhere. Just gotta find it.
And I mean, I'm familiar with Jay because he's been working with us for the last 2 years on this project.
Do you need a motion?
You should probably explain what the discrepancy was.
Yeah, so, as we inspected the freight bid, we realized that they didn't acknowledge the 2 addendums we had sent out. And one of the addendums had lowered the quantity of several items in the bid. And so that was the discrepancy in their bid. They had a higher number in those quantities than they should have. And so that resulted in it to be lower than what they had stated in their bid.
I think there was a technical question the engineers had as to whether that was a non-responsive bid because they didn't acknowledge that. And I think that's a determination you can make that it's just a minor non-compliance with the advertising bids that doesn't impact the award, especially since it's going the other direction.
And you talked with Brian.
I did talk with Fry, yes. Yep. They were aware of that, and
But these are addendum 1 and 2, right?
yes.
Because
and then, yep.
I did see them in lanes, but then I didn't see them in the fries.
Yeah. Yeah, I did talk with Fry, and they're excited to get awarded the bid, and they definitely want to work with you guys.
They've acknowledged that the bid price is going to be lower.
Yes,
than put
they
in.
have, yep. I told them that, and they have, yep.
So is there a specific motion, Mr. Russell, that we have to make for this, or is it just?
I think they could just approve the award of the bid as long as the minutes reflect the discussion we had about
Okay.
the potential non-compliance.
Yeah, and obviously, even with the error, they still do a little bit better, so.
But if we approve this bid, the other thing I didn't see, I saw Lane's insurance, but I didn't see Fry's, we'll be getting,
Yeah, the insurance isn't required to be submitted until we sign the
we're
agreement.
gonna wanna see,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll have to submit insurance and bonds for us to review and approve before
Yep.
Yep.
the contract is effective.
it's up to the board, what do you think, Paul? I'd look, I mean, we can save the village that kind of money.
I make the motion that we award the bid to Fry, based on the satisfaction of the bid specs as originally drawn up, and the amount of 116,098.40.
Do we have a second on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
I'll give you a little update. I have some of my crew up there right now. We had an area where the wells are going to be developed that we had to do some work up there, so we're in the process of doing that. I would expect in about a week we will be completed with it.
Nice.
You're thinking that.
Okay, the next item is,
I'll leave this with you, Joe, with the notice of award. We sign tonight.
if I can find that here quick. The resolution, which is basically creation of a technical force account. And the board has to pass a resolution for this. But basically what this resolution will do is all the work that the village crews have done on this well project, we will be able to recoup our labor, our materials, hopefully our tree cutting, all the money that we've already spent, we should be able to recoup out of the grant money. And that's why we need to pass this resolution. It's just this, we're gonna save taxpayers money if we do this. Anybody got any questions on that?
It's a no-brainer. I'll make a motion
Yeah.
to have the mayor sign the resolution.
Second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does it need a roll call vote, Mayor?
Yes. Where does it?
Doesn't say it, I don't think we do.
It's on the resolution, it says roll call.
Or we can do
Okay, yeah. And then,
that. Dan Solomon in favor.
Charlie?
Charlie Truex, in favor.
Tim Woodrick in favor.
Joe Beagle in favor. We're all in favor. All that's here. Okay, that takes care of that. Water supply investigation. Was at the municipal board meeting last night. Joe and still waiting to get together with Jay Billings and the property owner. And Jay was up here last week, but the property owner wasn't available to go with him, so as soon as we can do that, we'll have a better idea. But right now, that's still on hold. LED street lighting, I spoke to Nikki Dietrich, the Tug Hill Commission this afternoon. Basically, they're still trying to work out the increased costs that National Grid has come up with. They're thinking that they're probably not going to change that much, but there might be some discrepancies in the depreciation amounts. They're like 90% set with all the municipalities. New York Power Authority is, and they'll be getting back to us here shortly to go over the, basically it was a survey that I know Tim and I were involved with, and that will give us the new and projected cost for the complete the project on top of what we're going to have to pay National Grid. And he said they should be holding, scheduling those meetings here shortly, and they're probably going to be by Zoom. And that's the latest I heard on that. Tim, anybody got any questions on that?
No, I haven't heard anything other than the emails.
Well, I just say, I did Mickey a call today to see if, and he got back to me just before the meeting. He said that's about where they were at. Okay, nice at gas on Ross Road.
I don't have anything new to report. I've left another message with the council and wait for a reply.
I think we've waited long enough. I'm going to propose that we take Isaac to court and get this thing solved. I'll make the motion that we take Isaac to court and that we get this solved. We've been messing around for 3 years, and I'm not going to sit here idly and watch another season go by without Mr. Ross and whoever else in this village that wants gas to be able to get gas. That contract was signed for this whole village to have gas. I can't believe Isaac has a leg to stand on, and I think they've played around long enough. So that's my motion.
I'll second that, Dan, so we can have some discussion at the very least.
Thank you.
What's the best way to go on this?
Well, I think if we can avoid litigation with NICEAG, you're going to be better off. I mean, it's going to get extremely expensive because they're going to drag this thing out even further. I wouldn't recommend it, but I understand Dan's frustration. They've acknowledged their obligation to put it in, and right now it's a matter of trying to get them to move.
But I guess what I'm wondering is there somebody up the ladder we can go?
There may be,
I mean, this is,
Well,
like Dan says, it's been 3
I
years.
know.
Mr. Russell, I'm going to be quite...
It's been a year since they acknowledged that it was there. I mean, it took us that long to get them to acknowledge that they were obligated to install it in Australia.
Mr. Russell, I believe between their people and your people, between you and them, this has been a failed issue. I'm sorry. I don't think the council has done a good job on this. So it needs to get done. And I don't want to take them to court, but I want it done.
Let me ask you a question, please. Are they susceptible at all to bad publicity? Or don't they care?
They're getting it right now, live Skype.
I have no idea where they care.
We have a board member who loves to write letters. I was just wondering if that was a possibility. Try that first and then go after them in court.
Mr. Ross is here. Would you like to say anything, J.D.?
Well, I asked this question, I don't know, it's been so long. What can you do to take the franchise away from them? What deems a franchise? Is a franchise good for 100 million years, or is it good for, till somebody gets ticked off? Suppose nice they wanted to pull out of here.
There may be grounds to correct me if that's wrong. I'll have to look at that. Because it's part of the agreement, the obligation is part of the agreement. We say it now.
Because they wavered 3 or 4 different directions here, and like you just brought up, they have acknowledged that they're responsible for that contract now.
Of course, I don't know, this is just my thought, but I think we just aren't hitting the right person back at the company headquarters. The reason I say that is, we got this 5 streets project going, and we've had to change, and a lot of gas has gotten moved in the village, and the main lines got moved from one side of the street to the other, and they have worked with the village in that respect for no problem. I mean, a lot of times, we weren't sure if a line would need moving. They would basically say, when they get there, the construction company, call them, they'd send their crew in. Right, Paul? I mean, locally, with the local guys and with this project, they work great with us. So I just think we're not hitting the right person.
Who are you dealing with?
I'm dealing with counsel's office. So,
Tim Karski was the head man that I dealt with. He's the guy that always gets back to you like in a year's time and then gives you a rigmarole. He's the one that said it was going to cost $55,000 to run that. He's the one that told me the Public Service Commission required a 10-year payback on a line.
that's before they acknowledged that it was
Correct.
obligation.
But he was the only guy that everybody always put it off to him.
When Nizick wanted gas in this village, when a lot of people wanted more than just Nizick to build a PSC, I stood behind Nizick. And I stood behind Nizick because not only were they going to gasify the whole village, but they were going to run the lines to the southern of the county, which they did. South Louis School wanted it. I got a letter from Dr. Terranova, and then they didn't even hook up. So shame on them. But the bottom line is the people south of the village got it. And now I learned later on that they didn't or are not willing to gasify the whole village. And they're going to live by that contract. But the problem is, every day that J.E. doesn't get gas, or anybody else in this village that wants it, is money out of his pocket. He's probably paying 70% more, based on what I know personally, with my own, because he can't get natural gas. And that's just not acceptable.
Here's a question, I don't know, for Joe. The guy over here has been working with the gas company on a regular basis. So they have some contacts. I guess my thought is, if they were to give you that information, would it be worthwhile to write them a letter from our attorney and explain the situation that's been going on and see if we can get some action that
The
way?
issue is going to be whether I can do that without going through the counsel's office. I mean, we could certainly get a letter drafted for your signature to do that. You should probably be the appropriate way to go.
Because you can hit some top numbers, right, to get this work done in the village?
I remember we had hit some, maybe stop work, we were having trouble getting in contact. Didn't you write a letter to one of the politicians, and then all of a sudden they were out there? I remember something like that happened, wasn't that last year?
Yeah. Yeah, that's when we were over on. So I'm just wondering, maybe if we had that contact information, if you could give it to Joe, and we can do up a letter, and we'll send out a letter to see what happens before we go to litigation.
That's what I'm saying, though. Who's that politician that you reached out to last year? Do you remember who that was?
Joe Griffin, wasn't it?
I reached out once to Joe Griffin.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was almost like a light switch.
I went through, well, Jim Durkis was there then. He's not there now. He's retired. But
but I mentioned it to him, right, JD?
Yeah, and I had a meeting with
You
Turco.
reached out to him
Yeah.
too, I think all three of us did.
About his deal too. Nothing ever happened.
I'd like his name and phone number, I'm gonna call him. Give me his name and phone number, I'm gonna call him.
I mean, yeah, we can give you all the contacts we have.
I want, what's his name, Dursky?
Oh, he's retired now, Jim has, right?
Yeah, Jim's retired. But I still talk to him occasionally. I think there's a lady who took over for him. I still got Syracuse's her number. So I can reach out to him again on that too, but if we can get your contacts also.
We have to be cast there, and I know they can run lines up till November, so we still have time, but I want this done. JD has been more than patient. I'm insulted because that contract says the whole thing, and they just got it done. And to me, it's just not worth the aggravation they're causing to get that line run up there.
So let's take another month and try that route and see if we get any answers before we go on the litigation. If that's all right with everybody.
With me.
I'll get a letter drafted to you once we get the contact information, and I'll continue to contact the counsel's office.
I just want to say, in a month's time, if it's not done, I'm going to push for litigation because we've waited long enough and it's not fair. And you could say that it's going to cost the village a lot of money. We can also pursue the costs from the court if it's ruled in our favor, and I would push for that also.
And there's also the issue of the franchise agreement. I'll look at that again.
We can give that franchise agreement to anybody that provides gas, can't we?
I don't think it's exclusive, so I think you probably can. I'll
Well,
have to look at
that's
it.
better than taking them to litigation than if they lose the franchise.
That's the way I thought that'd be the only way you could really put pressure on them, is to say, look, we need.
I think the letter should say that we're going to look at all options, including removal of the franchise agreement with Nike, if they don't want to fill this.
Okay, the only thing is, there's a motion on the table, so you have to withdraw your motion.
Regrettably, I'm going to withdraw my motion for 30 days. And maybe I'll bring it up again, maybe it's another 30 days. But at one point in time, we as a board are going to have to do something if NYSEG doesn't want to.
Any other discussion on that? Any other old business? Okay, new business. Craft surcharges for May. There's 0. You don't have to do anything on that. Okay, hopefully everybody got a chance to see the updated policy against discrimination and harassment. Any questions on that? Basically, the compliance officers are myself, Paul Denise, Randy Rogie. Not that Paul and Randy needed any more work, but they're both the head of 2 departments. So if nobody has any questions on that, we need a motion to accept it.
I'll make that motion.
I'm sorry, Charlie?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. There's a second on that?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Talked with Tim, and he's graciously agreed to become a new member of the Lowville Housing Authority Board. which should help them out a lot with this background.
I make a motion?
To appoint through March 31st, 2024.
So moved.
I'll make, it's not here, so I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I guess we need to accept Pam's tax collection for 2020 so far, up to date. Is that right, Pam? Need a motion for that?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Tim? Okay, correspondence. Before we move on to correspondence, does anybody have any other new business? Okay, basically correspondence, Lewis County Amateur Hockey Association skating rink refrigeration project. Basically it's a letter with an update and their costs and their financing. And looks like they're going to be doing that pretty good here, so. Anybody got any questions on that? Okay, the next item is UP Coalition Lewis County Outdoor Eating Areas. This one, Brittany probably looked at this on this. Basically, their only concern is, looks like, is they're worried about alcohol. And of course, that's what they're trying to prevent, is alcoholism and drug overdose and stuff like that. So, but I think we're all on the same page when it comes to that, the outdoor seating and whatnot. None of us really want to see alcohol out in the streets. So.
I don't want to see it abused, but I agree with the outdoor seating in restaurants and.
Like the restaurants where they're in their own
Well,
spot.
they're kind of setting both here, so I disagree with some of what they're saying in here. That, limits some of the outdoor seating might limit these to public and all that. That's why I think that we need, as a village, and I told you I have been looking into this, we need permitting for outdoor seating. So not only is it, permitted underneath the alcohol authority, but also the village too. So if a restaurant wants outdoor seating, they propose a plan to the village board, just like, and we approve it, for a year at a time or whatever. I think we need something in hand. I don't think we should be just saying no outdoor seating. I don't think that's the way to go. That doesn't, you don't gain any progress there. I mean, every booming little village or town or whatever, or municipality that's doing anything at all, like Old Forge and Saranac Lake and places like that, have outdoor seating. It's just what it is. And I think there should be in Lowville too.
And I agree, Tim. The issue that was raised to me by one of the business people is apparently you have to be very, very careful because they can also be cited for alcohol beyond 100 feet if they serve it. I'm not sure I follow it all, but that person had a big concern and they weren't sure they wanted to sell alcohol if it was going to go outside. So, but as far as outdoor seating, yeah, everybody's doing it, and I'm in favor of it. I don't know that I'm in favor of shutting down streets, but I'm in favor of if they want to put outside on the sidewalks, we can somehow try to work with them. Tony Harper seems to have the best setup because they can do on the side there. And the sidewalk's bigger, I think, in front of their place
Yeah, it's wider.
as it is on the side on Shady Ave. But it is what it is. But I'm in favor of it.
I think it should be allowed, but I still think it should be permitted.
Is there, I'm thinking of Clayton, Alex Bay, out that way, do they have, I just want to, is there a permitting that?
I don't know
be
if
able
it-
to copy?
I don't know if they have permitting. I mean, I guess it boils down to taking a look at what their codes are. Alex Bay is allowing, I mean, they have outside seating in some establishments within the establishment
And
footprint.
they kind of rope it off too, don't they?
Yeah. Now, they also this year have designated areas where they're allowing alcohol consumption in public areas too. But I don't know that they actually have a sidewalk cafe type of process there.
I've researched different laws, and I plan on at some point in time giving a copy to the board of different laws, because they are all a little bit different. There is municipalities that actually have, a permitting process for outdoor seating. I guess it would be, in a way, like say Jobs or something like that had tables out on the sidewalk. Who owns that area? Is that the village-owned property? Is that their property? Same with Tony Harper's on the state road side. Is that their property?
That's a question I've been asking for years. I still contend that the village owns all sidewalks.
You know what I'm saying? If the village owns all sidewalks, well then the village should be permitting outdoor seating on that sidewalk.
And maintaining all
It
sidewalks.
doesn't state it in the codes, in our codes,
No.
there's nothing.
I think that's the question that needs to be answered too, who actually owns that property? The Tony Harper's on the side, they own that property.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
If the village owns all sidewalks, can I get Paul to shovel my walk this
Yeah, surely I will.
My main
What about
concern
blowing
on
mine
the
off?
sidewalk is making sure that we have plenty of room for pedestrians and disabled people to get around in their little motorized gizmos and that kind of stuff. I'm not against outdoor seating, only if it impedes pedestrian traffic.
I think that's why we have to have some say in the matter with some kind of village permit for that outdoor seating. Because of stuff like that, pedestrian traffic, and because you can't just say, go ahead and put your tables out there, you get 5 tables on the sidewalk. Well, they could take up the whole sidewalk, then it's a safety issue.
Right, they have to have a plan.
Exactly, just like they would submit to the state liquor authority, they'd have to submit to them too, but they'd submit the same plan to us.
It'd have to be ADA compliant.
Correct.
And all that.
As far as the designated areas, I got my own opinion on that.
It's obviously, if we're gonna do it right, it's not an overnight process.
No.
I never thought of the ADA process, and that's huge too.
Well, you don't walk with a cane like some of us.
My day's coming, Charlie.
Have you said you've looked into some already?
I have, I've reviewed a few of them, but I want to take a little more time on it. And then I will
Possibly we could take, if we found 2 or 3 and
kind of combine them or see which one would best fit for the village.
put our ideas in it and then send it to Joel and have them.
I gotta be in Old Forge in the next few days. Maybe I'll stop and see Mike Farmer. I'll try and get you something going back to you.
Anything else on that? Now we'll move down to correspondence from New York State. Environmental Facilities Corporation, basically the approved part of our change order number 8. Any comments on that? And we have a letter from Invent Energy giving us an update on where we're at with the number 3 wind farm. All I know is that other wind farm that they're building, cement trucks are going through town like crazy.
Well, bro.
Okay, officer and committee reports. Village attorney?
I can report that the sale of the property on Water Street is proceeding. The buyers got the financing commitment. We have the updated abstract back as of late last week, and so we're in the process of drafting the transfer documents, which we will then get off to Candace Randall, who's either representing the buyer or the bank. So probably within the next 2 weeks, we'll have a closing.
That sounds good.
So that's all I got.
The other thing I got, I did get a couple of phone calls. I'm not sure how we deal with either one of them. First one was on feral cats in the village. And they're all over on a couple of streets, people complaining about it. The other one was skunks. And one of the things I think would help, at least the skunk situation, is as I drive around the village, I notice a lot of people aren't using proper containers to put their garbage out. They're just throwing it out there in plastic bags. They're putting it out there 3 or 4 days before the garbage pickup guy. And so you go by the next day, you see where something shoot a hole in it. So something for the board to think about, whether we want to maybe pass a law where your garbage has got to be in a approved container. It can't be put out before the night before and not be set out on the street. Maybe would help at least the skunk population.
Well, if you wait long enough, your skunk today may be my skunk tomorrow. But all kidding aside, in this county, we do not have, you call somebody and even to this day, nobody knows who to refer to if you have a skunk problem or this or that. And I think that that's something I've screamed for years that the county needs to look at. We need to have real animal control for these kind of varmints. We don't have it. You can call Carthage and there's a girl that'll come and take care of it for $85. So we had a raccoon issue over my way years ago who we took care of.
Well, I know I asked a gentleman the other day if he'd seen any in his area, and he said yes. And he had his cat. He said, I was just waiting to see what's going on. His cat was in the backyard, and the cat and the skunk were facing off each other. He said, luckily the skunk went his way, but there's getting to be a lot more of them in the village than we've had. I think some of it could be that people aren't taking proper care of their garbage.
Here's the other issue. If a skunk gets in your house and raises and sprays your house, you're worse off than if your house burned down, because insurance does not cover varmints getting into a house. And I know somebody had $20,000 worth of cleanup because of a skunk getting in their house. And there's no insurance policy that covers varmints.
Dan, for a minute I thought I was back in West Pine, Virginia. You keep saying farming.
What did he say? I missed it.
You know, he's back in West Virginia. You keep saying environment.
West by God, Virginia.
Yeah, sometimes I think where this coming from.
Well, it's something to think about if you guys think of any ideas what we can do to maybe help either one of those situations. I know I talked with dog control, and basically they deal with dogs, they don't deal with cats.
And then you only deal with what's in the town. You'll get to run around the most of your time dealing with that.
Okay, clerk treasurer, anything? Chief of police.
The only thing I have is I've got prices on the radar and the signs. If you guys want to stop over sometime, I can go over them with you. I think Mayor, you and Tim stopped and talked about that, so I have that stuff now.
Randy, I have a question that I'll bring up publicly. I brought it up to you this morning. There seems to be an issue, and I understand police can't be in all places at one time, with tractor trailers in this village just flying through the red lights. I know somebody was out in Arizona that was on their cell phone, and the camera caught it, and they received a ticket in the mail back here in Lowville, New York. Is there a way that we can maybe monitor that ourselves with cameras? Because I think the word got out, and a few tractor trailers got nailed, and we see better response, stopping the red lights. So I guess, Mr. Russell, is it legal in New York State for us to do something like that?
I don't know. We have to look at the DMV law.
And if we put them
They're
on
not
Main Street,
legal
which is a
either.
state road.
I'm not sure, I have to research it.
Yeah.
I want them on Main Street, which is a state road, and does that become an issue with the state? You know, I realize there's some logistics here, but I don't want to, I worry every time about some child, 8-year-old on a bicycle with a tractor trailer, and people can say, oh, here we go again, we're trying to, no, we're trying to protect the people. And
Seems to be a problem down there by Stewart's quite a lot.
it is. It is, and
Come flying into the.
I'll be honest with you, my boss work is just obtained that, and he's raised an issue. I'm going to tell you, he's raised an issue because he watches it all the time. So I'd like to see us maybe look at and invest cameras, and if it's legal, we start ticketing people. If they don't want to stop at the red light, we need to protect the residents in this village.
I don't know if I've ever seen them in New York. I've seen them in
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
I don't think I have either in New York, but other states.
Other states I've seen them.
Which leads me to believe maybe there's a law that says you can't do it. But I hope I'm wrong.
Or a lack of a law that says you can't.
Yeah, thank you, yeah.
Well, that's not the only hot spot we got. Boswick Street coming down 26.
I know.
I hear the horn going off at the house, and I said, oh, that's a tractor trailer not stopping. He's trying to tell everybody he's going through. And it's the same way coming up 812. They'll come up, and if the light changes on them quick to caution, they'll still come right through it.
Well, maybe we can do something about it. And also, I'd like to bring up something else over the chief, and that's COVID. I'm being told that it's unconstitutional, we can't enforce a mask. I guess my question is, has the Supreme Court ruled that it's unconstitutional, number one? Number two, I have to wear shoes and a shirt to go into a store. So what's the big deal about wearing a mask? I mean, we'll write tickets for somebody with a seatbelt, but yet, to me, the COVID is more of a threat right now to us than that. And anybody thinks it's a hoax, I've lost a personal friend because of it. And in Florida, where my son is, it's running rampant, and it's running rampant in the building he lives in. And it's for real. So, in villages, I believe, can pass ordinances, and maybe we're going to want to look at it in the future, because this thing isn't going to go away in the next few weeks. And I don't think that it's fair that the state has, where you have a lady in Stewart's that's working that may weigh 120 pounds, and now she's getting bullied by somebody that's 200 pounds because he doesn't want to wear a mask. She's only doing her job. And if we can help that along, that's fine. And anybody that thinks, well, I'm not going to wear a mask, technically you've got to wear a mask in any store you're going. So, to me, it's just not a big deal. And I'm sorry, I think that we need to protect our employees and if this thing comes roaring back, don't think for 1 minute that they aren't going to shut us down again, because I think they will. So it's something to think about.
That's all you had, Randy? Superintendent.
I just got a few things. Just an update, Barracks will be in here next week to do our chip paving. In the previous, I told you what streets they are. It'll be Elm Street, Clinton Street, Easton Street, Collins Street, and Lanphier Street. Plus, they're going to do a section of Railroad Street that was done a few years ago with CHIPS money that is basically falling apart. A little update on DPW crews. We've completed our curb painting. Hopefully everybody's seen it, and I think it looks good. It makes the village look good. We placed the no parking signs on Church Street a couple weeks ago. That was passed. And we've got a new 2020 F550 that is put in service. That's it.
Paul, what about the personnel issue?
I-
We're gonna bring that up?
Yeah. Capital future planning, it's not here, but I think we went over the big thing, which was the wells tonight. If anybody has anything.
I got an email from a young lady from Cornell University last week on economic development in the village. She was doing a report for college, and I don't know how she got my name. I don't know. Unless somebody gave her my name, but anyway. I just had a 10-minute phone call conversation with her on what's going on with the water and sewer and basically DRI project and our future goals for the village, so that's all I got to report.
You tell her our water supply does not come from Black River.
Yes.
I did tell the Waterdown Daily Times that. I see they corrected it in general. Okay, personnel, I would like a short executive session for that. Anybody else have anything there?
No, sir.
Okay, moving on to finance.
The bills have been audited. I will do the judge's audit in the morning, and maybe if that's not available, and we know how far behind we are on the general fund, then let me know, and I will look at that also. And all the bills that we approved tonight have been audited.
Police and Fire Department, I don't have anything, but Joe's here. Do you have anything tonight?
Nope, I'm good.
Police Department?
I don't have anything.
No.
Planning Board, Zoning Board?
Municipal Board, next meeting is August 11th at 6 p.m.
I think the only thing with the Planning Board and Zoning Board, we don't really have anything in the village, but there is a solar farm going out on Waters Road. The village has been involved in a little bit because we have water lines and sewer lines that run through that area, so. But I think those issues have been hopefully solved. Hopefully. Anything from the town?
No, your next meeting is tomorrow morning at 9:30 via Zoom for the public.
Kate County?
I have nothing.
That's on recreation. Only thing there is there's still ongoing talks. As far as wooden playground up at the Egg Society there on the fairgrounds, the lease comes up, actually it ends this month. There's been some talk with the Fair Board and the Recreation Commission that they may be taking it over, and I know Paul talked with Mike from the Recreation Commission, and they're still working on it, right? And I put a call into Mike today, but he wasn't there, but he hasn't got back to me yet. So, but that's ongoing. That's the only thing really with the Rec Commission. Brings us down to public comment. Anybody have any public comment tonight?
I would just like to piggyback on what Dan had to say earlier, the importance of wearing a mask to protect the people that are around you, maybe not necessarily yourself, but I think it shows a respect and a common courtesy to each other as we have to gather together on occasion. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Yep, thank you. Charlie?
I don't know if I should stand or not, but my name is Scott Gilbert, and I just wanted to come by because I wanted to talk briefly about the Shady Ave when it's closed for the food square and all that activity. And just as a private citizen, like, I thought that was a really great idea, and I was really encouraged by how that was happening and the people coming out. It was creating, you know, a nice sense of community, and I was also encouraged to hear the discussion that we had today at this meeting about how trying to come up with ways to be able to create sidewalk seating. I guess I'm also partly here because I thought that the press coverage that it got was largely negative, and I was kind of discouraged by that. I mean, obviously, people can write and say whatever they want, that's fine. But like, I didn't think that there were very good points, the negative points. Like, you know, if it was causing too many people to come down, not enough food capacity in the restaurants, like calling some, you know, food trucks. I mean, there's more than enough food trucks out there to help with that. And then the fire issue, and I'm like, I get that, but I don't personally understand why it's more complicated to have a couple of food trucks set up on the side of the road than it is just parked cars there during the day anyway, and how that actually creates a, you know, inability for vehicles to get in if there is an emergency or an ambulance that has to get in. And I know everybody thinks about these things, but again, just as a private citizen, I thought it was a really great event. And I mean, COVID now is obviously causing a lot of difficulties is the right word, but it's just kind of throwing a wrench into all of our normal activities. But I would love to see something like that come back again. But that's all I'm here for.
Any other public comment? Okay, can we have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
For what purpose?
Personnel,
Personnel, Charlie.
DPW.
Okay, thank you.
Is that a second, Charlie?
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.